शान्तं
तं
सजीवम्
सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन
So closed. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Let me start the presentation. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I hope everyone can see the slides. So I welcome everyone in today's session of Shri Īśopaniṣad. We've been doing Shri Īśopaniṣad for a while now. We did Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and then after Shri Īśopaniṣad, Krishna's mercy, we will head on to Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion. And these four, they combine together what we call Bhakti Shastri. And traditionally, in India, still we have some devotees, and their surname is Shastri, based on their qualifications. If they were able to do certain amount of spiritual studies, they were considered as Shastri. And this concept is not new in Vedic culture. This has been there in Vedic culture for a long, long time. But many other religions, they do have similar. If they have done in their own religion so much service, so much studies, they are called based on what they have rather than the birth they have done. So not only Vedic culture, but other or major organized religions, they also follow the same principles, that it's based on the karma rather than based on what we which family we have joined birth. So Shri Īśopaniṣad provides a lot more details, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada ji, who provided such a concise but still in-depth purports, the explanations on these shlokas, these verses. There are only 18 mantras there, and they could be very ambiguous without the acharyas and senior Vaishnavas commentary, purport, explanations. And that's where we are. That's what we are trying to understand from the Guru Parampara. So let's take the blessings from the Lordship and then resume our session for today. Feel free to join if you like. अज्ञानातिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै
तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः
चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं
स्थापितं येन भूतले
स्वयं
स्वयं
रूपः
रूपः
कदा
कदा मह्यं
ददाति
ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं
वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं
श्री
श्रीयुतपदकं
श्रीयुतापदकमलं
श्रीगुरुं
श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवं
श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं
सक्रजातं सहगना
रघुनाथान्वितं
रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं
साद्वैतं सवादूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्य
चैतन्यदेवं
श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान्
श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान्
सहगणा
सहगना ललिता
ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च
श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च
हे कृष्ण
करुणा सिन्धु
दीनबन्धु
दीनबन्धु
जगत्पते
जगत्पते
गोपेश
गोपेश गोपिकान्त
नमोऽस्तु
नमोऽस्तु ते
ताप्तकञ्चन
काञ्चन गौराङ्गी
राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी
राधेश्वरी
वृषभानुसुते
वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि
हरिप्रिय
हरिप्रिये
वाञ्छकल्पाभ्यश्च कृपां
सिन्धुभ्य एव च
पतितानां
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः
नमो विष्णुपादाय
कृष्णपाद
कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय
कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय
भूतले
भूतले
श्रीमते
श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने
नमस्ते
नमस्ते
सरस्वती
सरस्वती देवे
गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे
गवादिप्रचारिणे
निर्विशेष
निर्विशेषशून्यवादी
शून्यवादी
पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे
जय श्री कृष्ण
कृष्ण
चैतन्य
चैतन्य प्रभु
प्रभु नित्यानंद
नित्यानन्द
श्री
श्री
अद्वैत
अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि
गौरी भक्त
गौरभक्तवृन्द
हरे कृष्णा
कृष्ण
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 हरे
हरे हरे
हरे
हरे
राम
राम
हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
शिल प्रभुपाद की जय शिल
जय
महाराज की जय जय श्री राधे श्याम
जय
हरे कृष्ण. So good to have you all. So good to be back in the Association of Devotees. Hare Krishna Kana. Welcome back. Let's
Hare
continue.
Krishna.
We've left Hare Krishna Kana. I hope you're doing well as well. Hare Bol.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. So just a very quick recap because we were off for a couple of weeks. Invocation mantra, which Srila Prabhupada ji used, it's not part of Shri Īśopaniṣad, but that was the invocation mantra, the very first mantra, the very first time Srila Prabhupada ji gave lectures on Shri Īśopaniṣad, and that was here in UK. And I think it was in London itself. And the mantra, Om Purnamada Purnamidam. This mantra is one of those Vedic mantras which is always recited whenever we do any yajna, right at the end. So the mantra, because the mantra itself is to complete, just to emphasize the meaning of the yajna, that for whatever purposes we are doing the yajna, the purpose has been completed. And Om Purnamada Purnamidam, that Krishna is Purn, and because we have emanated from Krishna, we are also Purn. So it's not that we need to get anything from outside. Well, maybe we need to get the inspiration from outside. We need to get inspired from other devotees to self-realize what we already have. So it's not that when we imitated, when we came out from Krishna, then because we are part and parcel of Krishna. It's not that Krishna didn't give us everything. Krishna has already. But it's just that we have forgotten all about it. And being parents, we can understand very easily that we would love to give everything to our kids, and we do everything for their studies, for even if they would like to go to the sports, everything. But kids, they might spend time on mobile phone. Kids, they might get diverted because there are so many games, Xbox, PlayStation, PSP. There are so many diversions that their studies are there, and maybe their sports are there, maybe their devotional services are there, and all the facilities are there to support these. But the kids, they just get digressed, diverted because of these material benefits. And if we expand that analogy, that example from kids to our own, because we are the kids of Krishna, we do very similar thing. We come to this material world, and even though Krishna has given us everything, the whole spirit soul, the spiritual soul is inside us, but we cannot manifest that in our actions because we have contacted so much. And again, the contact is not a physical contact. It's like the sun is there and the cloud is there. The sun and cloud, they are not physically in touch. But somebody who is in the cloud might think the sun is not out there. And this is what we really do in London. that, oh, sun is not out today. Oh, is sun out today? Oh, it's a beautiful day because sun is out today. But mind it, sun has always been out there. And we notice number of times when we go in the flight, we go on the top and we see sun is there. Sun has always been there. And how small the clouds are compared to the sun. But still those clouds, they make us believe that sun is not out there. And not only it makes us believe it, even though sun is there, we are unable to utilize the benefits of sun, which is the sunshine, the sun radiation, the warmth of the sun. And this is what happens. The spirit soul is always there, the Krishna is always there, the Guru Maharaj Ji and other senior Vaishnavas, they all are there showering their mercy. But just because we have created our own material cloud, we just unfortunately unable to feel the warmth of their love and compassion. And this is what it is. And there's so many examples from Adi Shankaracharya ji, from Gautam Buddha to many other senior Vaishnavas, that it's not that Krishna needs to do anything. Krishna hasn't hidden anything. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Krishna is Purn, we are Purn. But just we have created that layer, that cloud, and the whole purpose of these sessions. So slowly, gradually, we could come out of those material clouds. We could realize our true nature. And I hope, even if it's a bit very, very, very minute, I hope a little bit of difference is realized, because it says 1,000-long journey starts with the very first step. So we are just trying to take that very first step. But of course, we have the whole week and we can take more steps. Hare Krishna. Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, it is so strange that everything Krishna provides, but still we have to remind ourselves that this is all provided by Krishna, because we are so much into this material world. Every morning I pray, Krishna, thank you for providing us with everything, sun, light, water, heat. But then you get so engrossed in your material life that it gets, everything that gets evaporated unless something happens and you remember Krishna again. This is ridiculous actually, because we are forgetting our basic existence, which is due to Krishna, and
True.
we have completely forgotten him.
True. I completely agree with you, Mataji, and it resonates with all of us, because we are engrossed so much. We are. We are conditioned. So a lot of time Prabhupada ji has used the word conditioned, that we are conditioned. And you're right. If we just think about it, we like we laugh on kids, we would laugh on ourselves. And that's the beginning. That's the beginning, when the very first thing. So I was listening to, so today at Manna, His Holiness Keshav Maharaj ji delivered the Bhagavatam class, and he said that so he gave the analogy of someone, the example, this pastime, and somebody came and was asking, and Maharaji was a junior at that time. So he said, he said, I wanted to give the answers, but just because of the respect, I was waiting for my senior to give the answers. My senior didn't give any answer to this guy. And this guy said, oh, this guy was giving excuses after excuses. And then he just went away. And then I looked at my senior, who could understand that I wanted to give the answers, but he didn't give, and he was expecting an explanation from me. And Maharaji said that my senior said to me that he's very kacha. He's not a ripe food, ripe mango, he gave the example of. He said, when the mango is ripe, the mango will automatically itself, nobody will have to pull it down. So this guy is asking the wrong questions. It's not whether we can do it. The question should be, because when we say whether we can do it, could we do it? Then we don't have trust and faith. But if we say, how could we do it? We know the path. This is the path to go for. But how could we run on that path? Oh, there are so many obstacles on it. How can we overcome those obstacles? These are the right questions. And so Maharaji was sharing it. And that's so true, Mataji, that w- w- I think the best part is that at least we realize that what we are doing, that every time we fall down, then this is another analogy where Srila Prabhupada, a devotee, said to Srila Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, sometimes I fall in material sense gratification. Prabhupada corrected him, saying, no, you are always in sense gratification. Sometimes, because of the association of senior Vaishnavas, you experience the Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, most of the time, you are in sense gratification. And this is what it is. If you think about it, that is just a fraction which increases. And gradually, if we are making the improvement, I think we should always and always, and this is one thing we always do, and there are so many examples in the Bhagavatam. Before we go to the bed, thanks to Krishna, and the very first thing when we wake up, thanks to Krishna, and obviously during the day, even if we will get busy during the just to run our material life, but at least twice in a day we remember Krishna, and Krishna says. So Naraji said that Kali Yuga is the best place to be out of all the yugas, because on all other we need to do so much austerity, we need to do so many yagyas, we need to do so many donations, but Kali Yuga is the only one where we just need to take the name of Krishna. That's it. And even if we will not able to take the name of Krishna with pure love, still it's, and of course the example of Ajamil is there, and many other examples are there. So you're right, Mataji, that we do fall, and it is laughable, but as long as we keep that realization, then slowly, gradually, and I have seen personally in my own life and other devotees' life as well, that what happens, they simplify their lives. So Prabhupada ji said Krishna consciousness is very simple. But the whole problem is that we are not simple. We have made our life so complicated. And it's a vicious circle. Our grandparents, our ancestors, they did it. Their parents, well, their children, our parents did it. Then we did it. And now we teach the same thing to our children. And the vicious circle is just going on. And then that's where Gautam Buddha came in. And he said, well, something is wrong here. Something is definitely wrong. If we are all going to get old, if we all going to get diseased, if we all going to die one day, then this is a sheer suffering. Why do we all just hide from that suffering? And then he just went out, leaving everything. I do need to find out if there is a solution to this suffering. Can we overcome? And lucky enough for us that he found the solution, that yes, not only that the suffering is there, but there is a solution to that suffering. And what is that? He obviously gave the middle path. And if you think about it, Srila Prabhupada ji and the senior acharyas, they gave the same middle path, very similar. That if, because of course, these days, if you go for Buddhist, they always say cut off with everything. So not of course all, because Buddhists also do a lot of devotional services, but most of the time just cut off with everything. Yogis do the same. Yogis are even more austere, that just cut off. If you will, if there's nothing material you will watch, then there is no problem in it. But as you said, that life starts, the day starts, and before we realize anything, we think, oh well, we will do 16 malas today, and we just get engrossed one after another. So many excuses come up. It happens with all of us, Mataji. But yes, if we just realize it, and what happens slowly, gradually, so we keep listening. Whenever we get chance, we read, and whenever we have the opportunity, just visit the temples, and there are so many festivals. So Srila Prabhupada ji gave the middle path, as in that like yogis, we cannot shut our senses. We just can't do it. As long as we are alive, our senses will be engaged. And because we are in material world, they will be most of the time engaged in material things. So how can we spiritualize everything we do? Now, so for example, we need to eat the food, we eat prasad, we offer to Krishna first. We need to have entertainment, try to have Krishna conscious entertainment. And these days, so many beautiful devotees are there, so much musical. There are so many people, so many devotees, they love music and they just keep listening to that. And globally, I travel for my role. Wherever Ajayji was there, he was traveling as well. When we travel, wherever you go, so Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Muscat, Saudi Arabia, you might think Saudi Arabia, you might not see devotees. There are devotees in Saudi Arabia. I had Google Meet chat, and on the other side, the Prabhuji was there with dhoti, kurta, tilak, and he was doing the mala with kanti. And you would think, even in places like there, if Krishna can provide, then we are based in London. All the facilities are there with us. We just need to keep pushing ourselves. And when we are in the association of devotees, things become much more easier. If we become isolated, which of again sometimes maybe because of our circumstances we are, like many other devotees, they have given the examples that when they were student, they had to live with other students, and they could not go to the temple that often because the temples were far away. But what they did, luckily enough, YouTube is there, so many lectures, so many Bhagavatam classes happening all over the places, and so gorgeous darshans are there. So you're right, Mataji, that we all are there feeling that, but slowly, gradually, I think the best part is that we have realized that it's possible. We can overcome this suffering. That even though we fall down, well, every time we fall down, we get up. And if the number of times we get up is more than number of times we've fallen, that's a success. And that's what Srila Prabhupada ji is saying. So keep your inspiration up, Mataji. I know it's hard sometimes, but and we all do. We all do. So I keep Mala with me. So any extra round is counted whenever you get chance. Whenever you get chance. Sometimes we have to drop, especially when the kids they come around, they need something. You have to leave the round in between. But that's okay. The half round we did, that's even though we don't count that, but it's counted in Krishna's book, that Krishna has considered that. And as we say, the beginning, once we begin something, that's like the half job done. So even if we have picked the mala, and even if you won't able to start or complete, then itself is a success. And I give you the example of one of my college friend who did guitar. And this is the way, when your mind works spiritually, anything and everything you hear, you can relate it to the spiritual realizations. So this college friend of mine, he used to do guitar. And when my son Aaron started doing guitar, so I asked this friend of mine that what advice would you give? Because I'm not musical, I don't know how to do guitar, but my son is doing it. What advice would you give it to him? And he said few things, but one of the main thing he said because the guitar comes in the back, and whenever you need to play the guitar, you open the bag and put the cover on one side, and then you start playing it. Once you finish, you put it back in the bag. And my friend said, don't put your guitar. So ask your son not to put the guitar in that bag. Have a stand, have it right in front of you. Because if it's in the bag, then it's an extra effort. But if it's there, right there on the stand, standing there, you could just come and pick any time you want. And when I saw that, then I thought, wow, what a realization. We can do the same thing with the mala. right? What we'd usually do, we do the 16 rounds and we put the mala on one side. Okay, I will see you next day, right? But what if the mala is there wherever in our house, whichever the. This is another thing. One of my god brother mentioned. He said, because I've been moving around a lot, and every time we move, obviously the new place, and then the temple we need to establish. He said, always put the temple in the living room, in the center of the house, right? Not in one of the bedrooms. We usually don't put in the bedrooms anyways. But he said bedroom will be, not everybody will go in the bedroom, and we might not go to the bedroom that often, maybe just in the evening or in the night. But if the temple is there in the center, in the living room, then whether we want it or not, it will be there, always giving us darshan. And when the friends will come, and I can't tell you how many times the friends come to our place. Sometimes when we have just done the aarti, and they feel, oh, because obviously the incense are there, then oh, it feels like a temple. And so many different friends, they come. Of course, there are some friends who are also non-vegetarian, but whenever they have prasad at our place, they said, I can't understand how come a vegetarian food could be so good. I said, well, because we offer to Krishna. Why don't you try? And this way, just because the temple is in the center, just so these are some excuses we can bring to our life just to get a bit better, just to get a bit better. But thank you so much for that honesty and that realization, Mataji. Trust me, we all are there with you. You're not alone. It happens with all of us, all of us. So thank you so much. The Hare Krishna. So, but as long as we are asking the right questions, and the right question is, how can we do rather than can we do it? We have the trust that we can do it because it's doable, because Krishna has said it in Bhagavad Gita. Arjun did it. Arjun asked so many questions, and our senior devotees, they explained it to us. So we are. So that from invocation mantra, then we move it to everything is perfect, which is Īśopaniṣad principle, right? So mantra 1 says everything belongs to Krishna, which is Īśopaniṣad principle. But now anything and everything, whatever we can think of, we think because it's because of us. No, it's not because of us. It's we are just instrument to Krishna. And that concept itself, just one concept can purify us. How humble we could be. People come, people praise us, and we say, wow, thank you not to me, thank you to Krishna who has given me. Whether we have done some donation, whether some skills, some experience, it's Krishna who has given us the favorable conditions to cherish. And if we live in that harmony, then if with that concept, Īśopaniṣad principle, then we will be harmonious and we can think. It's so I think it was Gaur Gopal Prabhuji from whom I heard very first time. He said, when we want respect from others, some might give, some might not give. But when we want to give respect to others, then can someone stop us? Even if someone will say, well, first of all, who will say, don't give me respect? Everybody would love to be respected. But even if somebody will say, don't give me respect, that can still not stop us giving that person respect, right? So it's the stance where we do would we like to become the pati, the owner, the proprietor, or do we want to become the servant? And that's the whole concept. If we will become the servant, take that condition and just serve everyone within the family, within the society, in our job, then we will always be harmonious, always be harmonious. And if we will not, we have seen the examples. I mean, just within our body, we cannot control things like the eyesight going bad, the throat going bad, the health going bad. In our body, internal organs are there. They are not in our control. The heart, the liver, the kidney, we don't know what's happening with them. We can't control even our eyes, the eyelashes, eyelids. Then how we can think that we could control anyone else? which we just try to control our kids, and maybe we try to control our partners, maybe when we are in the office, we try to control our subordinates, but this will always bring us disharmony. So we should always be very careful for that. Then we have seen 4 to 8, the Ishwar can be only understood by spiritual vision, not material vision, spiritual vision. In Sanskrit, we call it the Shastras Chakshu, Shastra Chakshu. Shastra, the Granth, there's our occult spiritual books, they are the Shastras, and they're Chakshu, like the knowledge we have achieved from them. And so we could only understand by that. So there were from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 verses. Then from 9 to 11, 3 verses, right and wrong vidya, the knowledge, the understanding. What is right, what is wrong? 9, 10, 10, 11. And on the very similar theme, we have from 12, 13, and 14. So 9th is very similar to 12, 10th is very similar to 11. 10th is very similar to 13th, and 11th is very similar to 14th. But the concept from Vidya moves to Upasana, from understanding to worship. And then once we will get there, we are on mantra 14 now, and we've been concluding. So if we will go, maybe. Right, okay, Prabhuji has, okay. So Asambhuti we have been. So Sambhuti is the worship. Asambhuti is the negative connotation of his opposite. So the very first thing, what is Asambhuti and what is Sambhuti? So here it says, if we don't pray to anyone, then we will go to the darkness, right? But if we pray, it will go to the even greater darkness. Now, how we can understand that? Well, when we worship, then what do we worship for? Do we worship our boss? Do we worship the sports person? Do we worship the material sense gratificatory figure in our society? What do we worship? Like recently, politics been happening. Do we worship some politician for our material gains? We might be worshiping someone. There might be some role model for us, but if it's a wrong role model, of course, if the role model is from the Bhagavatam, Dhruv Maharaj, Kunti Maharaj, Maharani Ji, and Parikshit Maharaj, then we can understand anything and everything they have done, that's Sambhuti, if we will follow those steps. But materially, if we will follow someone, even though we are doing the Sambhuti, even though we are doing the worship, but that will take us to the greater darkness. Better to then, that Sambhuti is better, we don't worship anyone. But then moving forward, it says, Asambhuti gives one result and Sambhuti gives another result. So if you will not follow anyone, there will be a different result. But if you will follow someone, it will be a different result. But then, so it's important to follow. But more important that whether we follow or not follow, what is important is whom we follow, whom we worship. That's very important. So a lot of time, unfortunately, because this is Kali Yuga, pseudo false gurus are around, and they are there because of their material gains. Feel compassionate for them, not to criticize them, because it's Kali Yuga, and somehow they got into wrong association, and they don't understand what they are doing. But we need to understand that if we need to find a guru, then what are the criteria? And if we do IDC course and it's freely available on YouTube, then ISKCON Disciple course, IDC, we can do again and again. ISKCON Desire Tree does it. Bhakti courses from Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji does it. And from Vishakhapatnam, Nitya Sevni Mataji does it. There's so many of those courses we could do, very similar to each of because the theme is same. But still, when you get the different teacher, because they share a lot of different stories to impact, and stories, they remain with us. We understand how we can find out the guru. But the 14th is where we are. Asambhuti and Sambhuti together grant immortality. So there are two things there. First, Sambhuti and Asambhuti, they go together. What does that mean? Sambhuti is worshipping and Asambhuti is not worshipping. So if we will spend our time worshipping someone, that means we will not be worshipping others. For example, if we are spending most of the time worshipping Krishna, the Lord, reading Bhagavatam, that means we are spending less time understanding how the politics work, how the elections been going on, how the sports are going on. We will spend less time, and not that we will spend less time, just because in the day we only have 24 hours, and of course we have our material duties to do, the family commitments there. But after all that, time in Sambhuti, the worship, we spend on our spiritual progress, which means we have less time for less important things. Well, of course, we think less. Of course, others might think they are more important than reading Bhagavad Gita. But the concept is that we will always be, and this is very similar to Mantra 11. If we are knowledgeable about something, definitely there will be few things we will be ignorant about. Because if we spend more time reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion, Bhagavatam, and Shri Īśopaniṣad, Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are so many books there. Even after that, if we spend more time there, that means we have less time for material things. So then we will be less knowledgeable about those things. Very similar here. If you worship Krishna, if you spend time worshipping Krishna, and worshipping Krishna, it doesn't only mean the prayers we do. Devotional service comes worshipping Krishna. If we spend time devotional service, that means we have less time for others. And if we have less time for others, we are less knowledgeable. So Sambhuti and Asambhuti will go hand in hand. We will worship someone, which means we will definitely not worship someone, not because we don't want to, just because we don't even have time for it. And Srila Prabhupada ji said it. Srila Prabhupada ji and his Western disciples. Srila Prabhupada ji was coming, and his Western disciples were coming very first time in India. And there were devotees, there were people just doing dandavats to Srila Prabhupada ji. And one of the devotee who gave his own pastimes in the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada's Leela Amrit is there, which is the whole kind of biography of Srila Prabhupada ji and all about him. Not only what he thinks, but what his disciples felt about him. And in that, one of the Prabhuji mentioned that I was right behind Srila Prabhupada ji, and I was thinking, why these people are doing Danvats to Srila Prabhupada ji? Why so many? How is it possible? And then Srila Prabhupada ji turned back to him. He didn't say a thing. He said, I was just thinking all these things in my mind. But Srila Prabhupada ji looked back at me, and he said we were 6 or 7, but he just looked at me. He said, I tell you why. And I was stunned. How did Srila Prabhupada ji hear what I was thinking in my mind? And Srila Prabhupada ji said that it's because I have overcome the sense gratification. And then Srila Prabhupada ji turned back towards the devotees who were doing Danvat pranams, giving the blessings to everyone, inspiring everyone to be in Krishna consciousness. And this devotee was thinking, how Srila Prabhupada, again he said, I was thinking in mind that, okay, I understand now that why they are doing Danvat pranams to you, but how did you manage to overcome sense gratification? And then he said, Srila Prabhupada ji turned back again towards me. And this time he said, not that I have overcome sense gratification, I don't have time for sense gratification. And that's the key to our spiritual growth. Again, because we only have 24 hours in a day, and most of the devotees, we wake up early in the morning. By the evening, we are done and dusted. We don't have energy for things. What does that mean? That means that even if somebody will call us to go out in evening, we just can't go. We just can't go. And it has happened personally with me. Some of the devotees, they called me, and me and my family, we went there, and they could just see that I'm very dull. And it was late in the night. Well, 10 o'clock was late for me, but it wasn't late for them, because during the Interesting enough, yesterday I spoke to a child in year 6, and he was lively. And I said, "What time do you sleep?" He said, 11 o'clock. I said, "Wow, that's late." And he said, "But that's only during weekdays." So, okay, so weekends you sleep early. He said, "No, weekends I sleep after midnight." This is year 6 kid. And I thought, wow, that's late. But of course, this kid who sleeps at 11, and not his fault, of course, because must be a culture in the family, he would not wake up early in the morning. And if he will wake up early in the morning, he will not able to wake until 11 o'clock. So time is the essence. If we spend our time consciously, the half of the job is done, because then we will not have rest of the energy left for others. And I know that some of the devotees here utilize this very well in the past, not only for themselves but for their children also, that keep them busy so much that they won't have energy for anything else. And very well proposition, and we should utilize that in our own life as well. So we have seen this, and very quickly, so I think we have seen this as well. Mantra 12 said about demigods and impersonal absolute truth. And then mantra 13 said anything other than supreme personality of Godhead is a sambhuti. Well, praying, worshipping to Krishna is sambhuti. But after that, even anything about material life is. So these are the grades. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has accepted everyone, wherever everyone comes from. Krishna always said, if you are here, do this. If you can't do that, do this. If you can't do that, do that. Number of places. I think there are 3 places in Bhagavad Gita Krishna has repeated similar thing. One place Krishna said, better than this, better than that. And the other place Krishna has said, if you can't do this, go a level lower. If you can't do that, go the level lower. And if you will take those two and put them together, these are the same steps Krishna has given. And of course, acharyas have explained it further, but we do need to understand that how it's important for us. So we have seen this before, and if I will share this, this is where we said from paragraph 1 to 2. So these are the paragraphs of the purpose given by Srila Prabhupada ji. So there were 2 things there, sambhuti and asambhuti, and there was a word used, immortality. Now, not that we will become immortal, but we will realize the true nature of a spirit soul, which is immortal, that we are immortal beings. The body will die. Body is dying day by day. If you can't realize that, I'm sure during the years we would have seen, maybe 10 years back, what we could do, we can't do it now. Right? I think this is evident, what we could see, what we could feel. So the body is dying, and one day it will completely shut it down. It's just like any other machine. It's a beautiful machine which Krishna has made, because there isn't any other machine. Well, these days we can say for AI, but there isn't any other mechanical machine which can self-repair. But our body can self-repair. Most of the time we say that if something goes wrong in the body, just give time, just take rest, maybe just go to the bed, sleep, and by the time we wake up, and that's the whole reason we sleep, that the whole day we get tired, in the night we sleep, the repair of the cells happen, and in the morning we wake up fresh every day. Such a beautiful way of the way Krishna has made this machine, self-repair. No other machine the man has made where the self-repair happens. Of course, as I said, the AI is the new thing where it learns itself based on the experience. So nothing, not even science, can make this world deathless. That's the very first thing we need to understand. How that's important? Why? Because that doesn't say anything in the mantra. Mantra says Sambhuti and Sambhuti and immortality. So because it says about immortality, we do need to understand what is mortal, what is not immortal. Everything in the material world, including this material body, is mortal. So never ever try. Of course, keep it running, keep it working, but don't consider that this is going to stay for longer than expected. And then the mantra, the paragraph, the 3rd to 6th, Vedas give informed both. So Vedas will tell us everything. Vedas are actually the massive piece of work where everything is given. And that's the reason when Gautam Buddha came, because Vedas also give us a lot of shortcuts, a lot of workarounds, because there were purposes. The purpose was, again, as Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, if you can't do this, at least do this, right? If you can't do this, at least do that. But when it says at least do that, anyone can say, oh, Krishna has said do this. Yeah, that's right, Krishna has said do this, but Krishna didn't say that this is the best. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said this is the lowest level. Good, you are at the lowest level. Get inspired and move to the next one. And then move to the next one and keep progressing further. But some people might say, no, Krishna said do this, and I'm happy doing it. So this is the narrow-mindedness. Bhagavad Gita is small, of course, only 700 words. Says Vedas massive. So 400,000 verses. It's almost impossible not to have those contradictions, what we call apparent contradictions. So it will say few things. That's the reason we need to hear from acharyas who explain it. What does that mean? Provide us the context. 7 to 9, only by surrender to Krishna one can surpass death. Again, how surpass death? It's like, and we have seen that senior devotees, when they are dying, there are so many. Recently, Bhakti Charu Maharaj Ji left. Such a beautiful smile he had. Always such a lovely devotee, and never ever repent on anything. And he said, well, the body is dying, not me. And even if you will, it's not only within the Krishna consciousness, many other, if we will say, even in Advaita, we will say, Adi Shankaracharya's examples we see, they all consider that we are spirit souls, we are not going to die. But that realization comes when we surrender to Krishna, when we spiritualize everything in our life, give up misconceptions to attain immortality. So when we try that, oh, we can live longer because of this and that, if you can do this or that, no. But again, what is the purpose of living longer? Krishna will. So Guru Maharaj's health is not doing well. Guru Maharaj always say that, well, if you are going to pray to Krishna, because the devotees ask Guru Maharaj, shall we pray to Krishna to save you? The Guru Maharaj said, well, you can, but then what is the purpose? Why do you want me to stay longer? Yes, if you want me to continue the devotional service, by all means ask Krishna. Krishna, please keep us in association of our Guru Maharaji so he can do devotional service. That's what Guru Maharaji himself is saying. If I can stay longer, if I can spread the name of the Krishna to many other more beings, then why not? I would love to stay here. Another example was given today in the class by His Holiness Swam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj Ji, that I forgot the name of the devotee was before my time here, and he was leaving his body. Well, he was in the hospital, and see the mentality of the true devotees. And doctor said to him that you're good, you can go home. And all the devotees got excited. They all sat next to him, and he was sad. He was sad, and everybody said, what happened? Doctor said you can go home. And he said, yes, but before that, doctor also said that what you can't do, which means, of course, he's old, he had the heart attacks and all. So he said, I cannot move around. I cannot perform my devotional services. What's the point of going home when I know I cannot do my devotional service? And this is not any guru. This is not His Holiness. This is just one of those pure devotees who served here at Manna. And that was his mental state. That what's the point of my life if I can't do any devotional service? And despite the fact that doctor said you can go home now, which means you are fit to go home, but of course you have restrictions, you can't do this, you can't do that. He didn't. Couple of days later, he left his body. That if I can't do devotional service, there's no point me going home. So that shows that his attachment wasn't with his body. He was willing to leave his body, which of course he left at the end, because that body was useless for him. He was making good use of his body only to do devotional service. As long as his body was a means to ends, through his body, as long as he could do devotional service, he was happy to keep his body. As soon as he realized that his body was unable to devotional service, he said, this body is useless. I better go and get another one. And he left. Despite the fact, doctor said, and Maharaj was saying that doctors were surprised that there was nothing wrong with him now. Of course, he couldn't do, his body isn't fit enough, he can't do anything, but there wasn't any reason for him to leave the body. But devotees could understand. So this is what we need to understand, that we work through science in everything, but we do need to understand that that's where we are. Living entities and non-living entities. So non-living entities, creation happened, iteration happened, and destruction happens. Something is made. For example, we have the flower pot, fake artificial flower pot. Slowly, gradually, the leaves will go dirty and might go thin. From the air, it might corrode. And at the end, it will just destroy. Either we will throw it itself, will go down. These three phases of the non-living things. But 6 steps happens in living beings. We all do it. So this body is a living being, but birth, growth, maintenance, procreation, dwindling, which is like part of another maintenance where we dwindle along, and then we die. And then again, the vicious cycle continues. So nothing more going to happen. These are the laws of transformation. We just cannot overcome it. We just cannot. This will happen. And I think we have seen this, where we said that other major religions, they consider life as linear. It started, it will end. That's it. It will start, it will end. And they cannot answer a lot of things. But we can understand, we can answer those questions, which they can't, because we understand that it's not a linear, it's a vicious circle. It continues. It continues. This is a classic example. When somebody is born, why the baby's body is deformed, why the leg is amputated, why somebody takes birth in rich family, somebody takes in not so Vaishnav family, based on the previous karma. We can understand that, but other religions, they can't, because they consider that as a linear cycle rather than a vicious cycle. We have seen this cosmic manifestation, Mrityu Loka, and lifespans are very different. Within the Brahmand, so I think there is a slide as well which mentions some, so 3/4, 1/4. So para prakriti, ara prakriti. Prakriti is nature, we call it. So there is another Purush and Prakriti. So Purush is Krishna, Prakriti is the nature. And para prakriti is like spiritual, apara prakriti, which is not spiritual, which is manifestation, and such a relaxation for us that para prakriti, which is a spiritual, is considered as three-pad vibhuti, which is like three-fourth, like 75% of the, it's what word we could use, world, universe, beyond it, the creation itself. Three-fourths, 75% is spiritual, and one-fourth is material. And we are part of that one-fourth. So highly likely that we could come out of it, because majority of it is like, if you think about the pizza, there are four different, if you cut it in 25% each, 4 out of 4, 3 are spiritual and 1 is material. We just unfortunate we are part of that material, but the high odds are that hopefully sooner or later we will end up in the spiritual path. And Buddhist says that very nicely, that we are not in a hurry, because the way it goes, sooner or later every one of us will get to the spiritual world. The only factor, if we will consciously make the efforts, if we will surrender to Krishna, that will happen much quicker than we think. Because sooner or later, as we will see, even those who are millionaires, they also realize that money cannot make them happy for long. And that's the reason, after earning a lot, they start doing the charities. So, but during the process, while people are earning money, they really want to have more. So either we spend births after births earning more, enjoying sense gratification more, and then realizing, oops, it's wrong, that's not the purpose of the life, and then we start getting spiritual, or we started right now. So these are the only two ways. So that's why Buddhist says, no worries. If somebody comes and they say, oh, well, I don't understand, no worries, go and enjoy your life. Like what Maharaji said in his anecdote. Somebody said, kacha. This person wasn't asking the right question, so I didn't dwell more into the conversation, because he's kacha. Let him go and enjoy life. Let him understand how Sharbhangur, Dukhalya this place is. And once he's tripped, once he's content, then he will come back and then he will be ready to hear. And in Bhagavatam, there are many examples. Somebody, a king asked for something, and the Muni said, okay, I give you this. I give you the wealth, I give you the yajna, I give you a lot of youth, I give you the son. When you're done with all that, then let me know. And at the end, he was crying for everything. And then the same sage came back. Are you ready now? Are you ready now? You enjoyed all? What did you ask for? Shall we move forward? And then the spiritual progress happened. So thank you everyone for your association today. And I hope we can take this. This is just one session in the whole week, but please take your time out. I know everyone is very busy. There are so many excuses around, but please try to pick the mala, keep it somewhere visible, and take the name of the Lord, because in Kali Yuga, there is nothing more than that. Hopefully, you have already realized it, and that's the reason you all are here Saturday morning. So thank you so much for your blessings, for your association, and I look forward for your association next Saturday, UK time, 9:30 a.m. Indian time, 2 p.m. Thank you so much. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
Radhe.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.